All right, welcome to the regular meeting of the Darien Sewer Commission on Tuesday, May 6th. We're calling the meeting to order at 4:30 p.m. in room 206 of Town Hall. First item on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes of the April 1 meeting.
I didn't see anything.
Okay,
I'll make that motion.
all right.
Approve them as submitted.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? All right. April 1 minutes adopted as written. Next item on the agenda, sewer user fee appeals. We'll ask each appellant or their representative to come to the podium and announce themselves and their address for the record. The first fee appeal that we'll hear is 5 Shields Lane. Erica Gardner?
Yes. Right here, right?
Yes,
That's the
please.
spot.
All right. So I'm here because of my sewer tax bill. This is the first time since 13 years that my sewer tax bill, it almost tripled. There was never a leaking in my house, irrigation system, bathrooms, because I do service that each year. And I spoke to them and there was never a issue. However, it shows here that I didn't make the math here for the, I think that was for year 2023 or two.
Yeah, it was 166% increase. I did the math.
But I never had a leaking, so something must be wrong, not on my end. I didn't do the
Well,
math
but-
here.
But then I will ask you, did you call Aquarian out to verify
I
the
did,
meter?
and I asked for them to come and make sure that my meter was, functioning properly, and they did not wanted to do that. They said that the problem is because I had a leaking and so on, and I never had a leaking, so it
have
can be
you,
something about,
Have you had a plumber assess whether or not there's water being used? One of the very common ways for water to be used that sometimes you can't even hear or see is a running toilet, like a bad flapper valve in a toilet.
correct.
Anything like that can actually, these small drips, if they just continue 24 hours a day, 30 days a month, can really
Yeah,
add
I
up.
understand that, and that's what
Yeah.
I said, that I always have a plumber coming to my house.
Yeah.
And every time that I hear my toilet running, I change the valve,
Yeah,
within a day or two.
Yeah.
So I don't know where this water sewage, is coming from.
Something dramatic changed in May.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I
What
don't know
was
why,
that?
because there was no leaking in my house, like I just said.
Yeah.
There's no leaking. So what's the next step to do here?
well, look, we hear a lot of appeals each year, and the one critical piece for any appeal for us to weigh in on is evidence.
Okay.
So we need evidence that there is an explanation for the
Right.
use of the water, and evidence that explanation has been fixed or remedied. And when we have that evidence before us, we typically grant the appeals when the evidence is clear. So in situations like this, someone would come through and say, I found it, it was this thing here, or the faucet was running, or there was a leak over there, or there was a runny toilet, we fixed it on this date, and then we see the water use for a couple of months thereafter go down, and we say, okay, that was a problem, and you've corrected it, and we can adjust the bill. But in the absence of that, it's very hard for us to make a determination that the water use has not been corrected. And if we have water coming into our system, that water goes through our whole system, it goes through our pipes and our pumps, it goes to Stanford where we have to pay them a bunch of money to treat the water, and that's how our fees are based. I don't know if you have any thoughts, Bob.
I did, because between the 22 bill year and the 23 bill year, I don't know if you're familiar how we do it, but we take
Yes.
November, December, January, February, March's bill, and times that times 2.4 to get the estimated usage for the year. Well, I'll call it billable period from the 22 year to the 23 year went up 78%.
Okay,
So I'm thinking that there's a leak that got really bad, and I don't know why it stopped, but it just looks, from my experience, that it got bigger,
Progressively
and then it
worse
got
over time.
really bigger.
When did you have the toilet replaced?
I'm sorry?
The toilet replaced?
Oh, this has been like 2-3 years ago.
Because I was just thinking that could be it.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
know it
I'm
was
just
leaking, you replaced the toilet and it dropped
I was-
down to 12.
trying to make
Yeah, there would have been.
sense of it, but
You know, between April and May of last year, it looks like something was corrected, because your water use went from 5,100 cubic feet in April to 1,200 cubic feet in May, which is a huge drop.
Which month you talking
Between
about?
April and May of
2024.
59, and then now is 26, okay.
Yeah,
And then, so you're saying that my usage was 78% more? That's what it
between the
was?
22 year and the 22 year being November of 21, December of 21, January of 22, January of 23, January of 22, excuse me, March of 22, and February of 20. We get it in a different form,
Yeah,
and the billable section here that we use increased from 55 in those 5 months to 97 in those 5 months. And then in the one we're discussing right now, it jumped all the way to 258.
Right. So question, what do you need for me to come back here?
I think one thing is, the last water meter record we have appears to be from June or July of 2024. So your most current water bill would certainly be helpful, because that would give us your water use from last summer through now. And we can see if it's still at a high level or if it's at a lower level. But how many people live in the house?
We are 5.
Yeah, I mean, these numbers are huge. Certainly, you know, I don't believe that it represents your use of the water. So there needs to be something going on. It can be, but sometimes it's between the meter and the house, right? If the meter's outside, right?
Right,
You know,
it's outside.
Yeah.
And I try to get Aquarium to come in.
Slash Eversource, yeah.
Yeah, and take a look, and they deny that. And I
Yeah.
asked if.
I don't know if you ever get that letter. I get a letter once a year from Aquarium that reminds you that after the meter, you own the pipe. And so if something goes wrong with the pipe after the meter, it's on you. And then they try to sell you insurance
Right.
for that. I never buy the insurance. Maybe that's smart, maybe it's not. But so I understand why they might have denied such a request, saying it's your responsibility because it's your pipe.
Yeah,
So there's something going on, and we need kind of two things. We need hopefully an explanation of what was happening, and that was fixed, and kind of proof that fix resolved the problem.
okay.
You might check with your irrigation company too, because
Yeah.
if they turned the irrigation system on sometime in April, and they recognized there was a problem, but they never let you know, but they fixed it, but
Yeah.
all that whole winter it was leaking,
Yeah.
that's possible.
Yes, I'm
That
gonna
would be
check it again.
April of '24.
It's a good
Yeah,
point.
because I do have them coming in to turn on the irrigation system, and they check all the heads, make sure that is nothing broken. And then by September is when we winterize
Yeah.
those pipes, because you don't want them to
Yeah, yeah.
What
explode
I'm
it.
saying is if it had been leaking and they never told you.
Yeah, so like,
Bring it
yeah,
up.
I
yeah, 'cause
will,
it
that's a
really,
good idea.
between
Thank you.
yeah, I mean, you have a high irrigation use, but then you had, it maintained November, December, January, February, March very high, April very high, and then all of a sudden, it's corrected.
Something happened.
So maybe they came to turn it on last year, and they found a problem and they just fixed it, and, but that problem could have been leaking water.
Okay, so,
And if it's leaking water, it's not going down the drain.
Yeah, which
Then we
would be
didn't
helpful
pay
for
for
our
it to go
view.
to Stanford.
Yeah.
So that helps
Okay.
us to reduce your bill.
so now, do I have to pay that tax bill right now, or
While you
should I
have
wait?
an appeal pending, I think we stay the bill.
Okay,
So you're not going to accrue finance charges or anything while your appeal is pending.
okay, so I'll do my work, and then I guess I'll come back next month?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, good luck.
One
Thank
other
you.
thing, is your meter easily accessible?
I am
Like,
gonna
could
look
you- okay.
tonight.
So on the meter, there's usually a dial, and then there's a little red triangle. That will only move if there's water running. So if
Yes,
you
sir.
can see it, what I would suggest is you make sure all the water's turned off in the house, and then if you can see the meter, look at that little triangle and see if
Okay.
it's moving.
So basically just the main line, shut it off, and then,
No, you can just make sure that nothing's running in the house. I mean, I wouldn't go and turn the main valve off to
okay,
the
so
house.
nothing
because
being used.
The toilets could actually be leaking something very slowly. It's
Okay,
very difficult to see it.
okay,
And so if you go and you know nothing, you think nothing's running, but you're seeing the dial turning, then there's
okay,
some kind of an issue.
I'll do that. Alrighty, thank you.
All right, good luck.
Have a
We'll see
good
you next
night.
month.
I'll see you next month.
All right, we're going to table 3A for further discussion and move on to 3B, sewer user fee appeal for 459 Mansfield Avenue. Lisa Washburn.
All right, well, thank you for the time, really appreciate it. I've lived in town 20 years, I love the town, that's just an extra, plug.
Didn't know we existed until now.
I've never come, secretly.
Well, you know,
But when I was paying my sewer bill
you're
this
welcome to come
year-
every month.
Exactly. Hopefully it won't
meeting.
become a habit. I do have a pool, and I do have a very extensive irrigation system, et cetera. And this year, when I paid my sewer bill, it was sort of $1,500 for that half-year period. And I was thinking, gosh, is this a double period? And then I realized I was at sort of a $3,000 a year, thereabouts, rate for the current year. That was up more than 4 times from the prior year, and even up 3 times from the year before that. I did have an irrigation leak. Like I said, I have a horribly expensive irrigation system. There's 3 homes on my sort of cul-de-sac, and I have the catch-all area in a huge meadow, which has several zones in it. Usually I don't even turn the irrigation on in that area at all, so maybe my guys didn't really focus on that area. But it's the catch-all for that whole, those whole 3 plots. So there was probably water pooling there and it had to be fixed, near the woods where I didn't really see it for a period of time.
But would that have been outside of the November to March?
Well, I'm not
window?
sure. I'm really not sure.
Okay.
Because it's always catching water in there, so it's really hard to tell, if it was incremental water from irrigation or just runoff rainwater.
Okay.
And if we look at the bill from fiscal year 22-23,
Right.
the domestic use for those 5 months was 10-10-888.
Right.
And of course, the year that is in question, for whatever reason, it went to 40, 38, 54, it's almost 4x. Did start reducing in February and March. So, did you have any work done in February of last?
She had, the repair, the plumber repair was March 3rd.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And I had.
And then
yeah.
after that, the domestic use appears to have gone down for April and May, down to 14.
Right.
So,
And then I'll always see a little bit of an increase with the pool in the summer.
yeah, oh,
you know,
yes, that's,
refilling and that kind of thing.
But
The
I'm
irrigation
confused. I mean,
Yeah.
how much were the faucets leaking?
Well, a bit. They were dripping pretty constantly. And I guess the parts weren't available to fix them for 2-3 months.
Okay.
And then, of course, it always seems to be like that, like they're the same exact fixture. So one was leaking, and then before you know it, the other was leaking. And,
What
you
kind
know,
of fixtures were they?
Okay.
I guess just regular, you know,
Like Moan or
yeah, I'll have to remember, what does the, I forget what the.
steer clear of those?
Yeah,
You
seriously,
wanna know?
I don't, I mean, they were original to the house, so.
All right, well, this
Oh,
seems
okay.
like there was a clear increase, there was work done, and then a clear decrease. Have you done any math, Bob, or should I do something?
No,
like that?
I wasn't, because it goes back into the irrigation part of the year.
Yeah, but that's irrigation. I mean,
Well, no, and
39,
just to
right?
figure out where it started.
Oh,
it-
yeah.
It makes it difficult.
True. Yes.
I mean,
It could have started as early as May of last year, although that could have been irrigation.
yeah, I mean, it could have, I mean,
But we weren't
would
charging
you
based on
be
that.
willing to tell us when your faucet started to leak?
Poof, see, I mean, I wouldn't recall. It would be hard to remember exactly when. I mean, it starts slow, right? And then before you know it, you're like, my God, when are these parts coming? You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's thousands of gallons. I mean, that's
Yeah,
why.
yeah.
It's not,
I'm guessing that's, I mean,
it's not,
Well, that also could have been irrigation, because that's May. That's what we're saying.
it's not, a small amount that went down the drain.
Because there was also an irrigation
So
problem.
that's where we're having,
Well, look, it seems clear to me that the use is back down to at least 14 per month.
right.
And at 14 per month, the totalized number for the year would be 168 cubic feet for a bill of 1,260.
Right, which is way more in the band that I've been in, you know, generally
Yeah.
speaking.
Yeah.
That would be a huge improvement, you know.
Are any commissioners compelled to make a motion?
what was the number again, Craig? I'll make it, but
Yeah,
I just,
168 cubic feet for the year for a revised bill of $1,260.
okay, so I will make a motion for a revised bill of $1,260.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay, appeal is granted.
Great, thank you so much.
Yep, have a good night.
Make me want to come here next month. Yeah. All right, thanks so
You
much.
can watch us on
Thank you.
79.
All right, so sewer user fees appeals are over. We got a couple of sewer connection approvals to get through. Under item number 4, we will start with 4A for 174 Mansfield Avenue. Steve Rosmus, SDR Plumbing and Heating, wants to connect the pressure line for the new pool house to the existing sewer in the basement of, oh, is this the one we heard last month?
No,
Oh, this
3
is
new
different
ones, or 2 new ones.
Okay.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm Steve Rosmus, SDR Plumbing and Heating, as you saw. We are
That's you?
doing,
This is the one here?
Yes,
Okay,
yep.
good.
we're putting a small little pool house with a toilet and a sink in, and they wanted an E1 pump for this because it's outside.
And this is an accessory pool house, not a dwelling unit? Or is it to be a dwelling unit,
No, it's just a little,
pool house?
it's like a 14 by 9.
Okay, so it's just a
little shed.
bathroom?
It's like a shed with a, toilet and a sink. It's gonna put a little office in there.
Okay,
I think, but we wanted to go right into the basement, into the crawl space and tie into the main sewer there, opposed to going to the street or going all the way to the other side, because it goes across driveway.
and is the main sewer from the house, is that by gravity, or is
Yes,
it? Okay.
gravity.
Any questions for the applicant from the commissioners, Susan? Peter? Bob?
So this isn't just, I have a question for staff, this isn't the same ADU as we dealt with last month?
No, it's your first time here, is it?
Yes, first time.
No, I didn't mean,
Oh.
the, I
And
didn't.
it's not an ADU?
It's not an
It-
issue.
Okay, that's what
And
I'm,
it's not a pump in the basement that it's going into?
Right.
so it's much different than
Yes,
the ones that were last month is all I'm trying to get
yes.
to.
Different set of facts.
Okay.
All gravity.
Yeah, I mean,
If I had a little pool house, I'd do it.
I know, but the whole idea of just pumping sewage into a basement just rubs me the wrong way. I mean, I can go with it, but I still think that we need to do the issue with the existing main.
Yeah. To me, the two facts that give me peace of mind are, one, that this is just an accessory use to this house. It's not a dwelling unit. And two, that it's going into a gravity. I think both of those are compelling that give me peace of mind. And it's not mine. They have to deal with any issue they create.
Yes, but I mean, it's different that if it's a cabana or if it's an office.
Yep.
I have two different thought processes with that.
Understood.
And I'm sure it's not in our realm to say which it is.
It is not.
But
do
is
you have
it
any
in their realm to tell us which it is?
Well, it said it was an office, and he's going to put a little office in there. And, well, it's probably both, right?
Okay, well, then I'll treat it in my mind as an office. And with the office, I can't in good conscience put it into the building,
Okay.
put it into the main structure.
Do you have any further questions for the applicant that would help you with the information you need to make a decision?
No.
Okay.
I-
So it's going into the building because it's going to connect into the
Yeah.
sewer line that's in.
In the building?
Yeah.
In the
Which
in the
is
house.
which is gravity, there is not a,
Gravity out.
it's not,
This
it's
is gonna be
not,
pumped in by a grinder pump.
it's not gonna
Yeah.
daisy
To
chain
me, it's like,
into a,
a number of houses I've lived in have had a gravity connection to the street that drains the first and second floor fixtures out to the street by gravity. And there might be laundry or a bathroom in the basement that goes to a Johnny pump that goes up into that gravity system in the house. To me, it's the same exact thing here. It just happens that these couple of fixtures are outside the house, not in the basement.
like, we can agree to disagree, I'm afraid.
Does any commissioner feel compelled to make a motion based on the facts presented?
I'll move that we approve it as submitted.
Peter seconds.
So wait a minute, so we're not gonna have them camera the.
Oh, I'm sorry, and with
I
all
ha-
of the usual.
No, I have a whole, I have that
Okay.
written out as.
Then you go ahead and make the motion with all of your.
Well, all right, I'll make a motion
Does that-
with yours,
Okay.
and knowing that I'm not gonna vote for it, but, so, a motion to approve this item with the following conditions.
Okay.
One, the existing sewer lateral is to be inspected with a video camera. The inspections shall be reviewed by the, I can send this to you, Darren. I have it in an email. The inspection shall be reviewed by the property owner's qualified professional to evaluate if the lateral is in functional condition. Two, an as-built survey will be provided to the sewer department at the completion of the project. It will include the existing lateral and the proposed finished lateral. And on this one, it's the condition 3
Pipe
would
in the
be
backyard.
that the E1 pump from the cabana/office will be allowed to connect to the gravity system within the house.
With those excellent, astute additional requirements, I would move this to be approved.
Okay, we got a first and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any opposed?
I am opposed.
Oh, yeah, I'm
That's
sorry,
okay.
any opposed? So
Bill
we're
Cam
four,
opposed.
3-1.
Yes, I'm
Bill
opposed.
Cam opposed.
3-1. Next, sewer connection approval, 401 Mansfield Avenue.
And Darren, I'll send you that.
Thank you.
Calvi,
I have it.
Fox Hill Builders.
I appreciate that.
In fact,
Wants to connect the new pool house accessory dwelling unit sewer line to the existing house lateral. The property cannot be subdivided.
okay.
So this is not going through the front house, but is going to connect upstream of the E1 pump. So the pool house will drain to the E1 that is already connected to Mansfield Avenue.
Joseph Cowie from Fox Hill Builders.
Yes, sir, thank you.
It's gonna go from the pool house
Yep.
into a pump, pumped then into the E1 that's on the other side of the house.
Okay,
Upstream into that gravity line that comes from the house into the existing E1. Then go through the E1 and then pump to the street.
So you're saying they're gonna daisy chain?
yeah.
They're gonna be in
Series.
series?
No,
Correct.
it's, so,
No?
That's what you just said.
it's going, it's not gonna be in.
Oh, are the force mains gonna connect and then? it's
No,
gonna-
it's gonna go from a force main to gravity to a force main.
Oh, okay,
Force main.
so.
So
it's gonna
gravity
pump-
to a
it's gonna
pump.
It's gonna leave
'Cause
the
the
pool
pool-
house,
Gravity from the pool house to a pump?
To a pump.
Okay.
That pump. it's
Pumps up to gravity.
200 feet around the house to where the E1 is.
okay? So is it force into the,
Into the gravity that goes into the E1.
this wasn't a very good picture then.
I'm still confused, sorry.
Do you have the
Okay.
plan in front of you?
I do.
Okay.
That's in series.
So
This
there's a
shows
pump
it-
here.
Yep.
The E1's here. The
The
gravity.
pump
from-
here is an E1 too, correct, or a Liberty?
It's a Liberty.
Okay.
The gravity comes from the house like this.
Okay.
We're gonna go into that gravity line. And then flow with gravity into the E1.
So,
The house goes out to this?
No, the existing house comes from gravity right here.
Yes,
That's where my pump's gonna go into.
that same chamber.
Yes.
Or you're gonna bypass?
We're gonna bypass the chamber and go into the gravity before the chamber.
Series.
Because I can't drill another hole into the E1.
Why is there an E1 here if it's gravity after?
Because it's not
E1 to the
gravity.
street.
It's E1
It's
to
a
the
force
street.
main
It's
to the
gravity
street.
from the house to the E1 chamber.
there's a low pressure force main in Mansfield Avenue at this location. So this property, although I think it's on the uphill side, still connects via the E1 into the force main system.
Okay.
Is it on the uphill side or is it on the downhill? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So,
So you're gonna end up building, if I have it correctly, then you're gonna end up building a valve pit with a valve from each of the pumps and check valves so that you could isolate either one.
No, it's just gonna dump into the gravity line from the house. That feeds the E1.
Oh, before the E1.
Yeah.
because
Oh, I
didn't
gotcha.
see- I didn't see your fingers pointing at his
All right.
paper, so now your fingers need to
He's
point at my
saying that the
paper.
E1
Well, I'll
from,
let him do it again.
all right,
Okay. So the E1's here.
Okay,
There's a
so
gravity line.
This is an existing E1.
Yes. There's a gravity line from here
And-
to the house.
So like somewhere in here.
Yeah.
Call it like that.
This is gonna go into that gravity line
Okay.
before the E1.
So you understand why we're confused by what was
Yeah.
drawn here?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is an existing force main connection to Mansfield Avenue.
Yes.
This is an existing gravity connection from the house to the E1.
Yeah.
This green line really
See why I
should be
had to find
shown
myself
going
Into-
into
yeah.
there.
But what he wants me to do, for Anthony, is come around and go towards the
I wear
pump
that
with the
that
flow,
badge as
so
a
it doesn't feed back into the house.
Sure, yeah, yes.
You have to come around and make like a 180 and then keep it so that the
You
this
know, you
force
have a-
main doesn't go into the house.
You'd have a Y connection.
Yeah.
Like this. And this would be the new force main, right?
Yes.
And this would be the existing gravity.
And you can't use
this would be
90s
the
on that,
E1.
so you have to make a nice bend in the pipe.
Yeah, so you got a Y, which is a 45, and then a 45,
Yeah.
or I guess you're using HTP.
Yeah, so it'd
Okay.
be a big 180
So
into the
you're-
Y.
Okay. Okay. And this ADU is is it a studio or a one bedroom?
One bedroom.
Okay. So we have
One bedroom and a pool house.
and a pool house, okay,
and the pool backwash?
okay.
No, that's gravity into the infiltrators.
Okay.
And usually I don't get this detailed, but the E1 that exists has a certain amount of storage in its wet well.
Yeah.
And the Liberty system that you're proposing has a certain amount of storage in its wet well. I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but we wouldn't want to pulse more water from the new pump than the old pump can accept.
Yeah.
So do you know
I know the new pump, I don't know the E1.
Yeah, the cycle capacity, like basically how many gallons would be discharged during a cycle from the new pump?
I don't know, I just know the tank capacity.
And then the tank capacity of the old pump to be able to accept that cycle.
I just know the tank on the new pump's 100 gallons. I
Okay.
don't know what the tank on the new one is.
Yep.
Or on
Any-
the
On
E1
the old
is.
one? Okay.
I mean,
I don't
that-
know how old it is. I know when
Well,
I
yeah,
worked
it's-
for the town of Greenwich, it was only 75.
Okay, existing, not old, okay? Just
No,
to-
no,
the one that's there.
older.
The one that's there already.
All right, existing, sorry.
We could always change we don't have any spec on the pump yet, so we could
Yes.
change the pump if that need be.
And I think this is just something that I would like to highlight for Anthony when he's looking at your final version of this, which is correctly drawn, for him to issue a sewer permit if his requirements are met. But certainly you have the ability to build an ADU on your property. If you increase a bedroom, you'll have to pay our increased bedroom fee. Is it still $750? Did we make it? Okay.
Yes. Thanks.
But yeah, I mean, you have the right to connect it to the sewer. We just want to make sure you connect it in a way that makes sense. So, any questions for the applicant? Bob, any further questions?
I don't know. I'm thinking about it because like I said, this was not the way I.
Imagined it.
No,
Yeah.
because I mean I understand your comment about not having more pumps start at the same time,
Yes.
but
I wouldn't want to put a not E1 into this system, certainly.
excuse me.
Well, anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
No. What will you go
I
ahead?
would, if, I am not as familiar with the pump curves of Liberty as I am with E1. E1 is kind of self-controlling as you hook them up. I would,
Can you use an E1 instead of Liberty?
but I would, my point is I would rather this property have one core that goes to Mansfield Avenue. And I don't want to start, because we have a bunch of neighborhoods that have low-pressure force mains. And those low-pressure force mains were designed assuming there was one E1 core per property. Now we have an ADU regulation. I don't want to go back through these neighborhoods that are on low-pressure force mains and be adding more pumps directly to the low-pressure force main, because I think that could change the performance of the system over time. That's why I would rather keep one core per property when we have this condition. And again, an ADU, your main
well-
house is 3, 4, 5, 6 bedrooms, your ADU is 1, right? So it's much less flow.
Yeah, I mean, I just think staff needs to look at this one a lot because number one, the pump that is adding can't be bigger than the one that's existing. And there's gotta be some kind of I don't know, at least 15 gallons of difference, because if you have 15 gallons
well-
coming from the building and the other one discharges, you don't want it to be overwhelmed. It doesn't have that big
Yeah,
of a tank.
if this one releases 100 gallons per cycle, you'd want 200 gallons of capacity in that tank, as an example, right? Or if this releases 75 gallons per cycle, you'd want more than that in the existing one, right? Because you don't want to.
You need a buffer, yeah.
Yeah, you need a buffer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Well,
Go ahead.
Okay.
maybe what we ought to do is let this gentleman go back and make a better set of drawings,
That
determine,
answers some of these questions.
what's what with the pumps, and then come back.
Okay. Is there another option of going right to Mansfield to get it done sooner?
No, I would prefer that not happen.
Because we're trying to get this done by Memorial Day.
Well, that's lovely.
So is there another way to do it quicker?
Well, I guess I could ask the commission, do the members here feel they have enough information to be able to decide this matter this evening, or do you, let's just end it there, because if you don't say yes, then the answer is you need more information. So raise your hand if you have enough information to be able to make a decision tonight. So I guess the information that we're asking for is a more accurate schematic of your proposal, and clear information on the volume capacity of each pump, so that we could help you along your way.
Size of tanks,
Yeah.
Okay, and there's no other option to go right to Mansfield?
well,
No,
Well,
we were trying to avoid
Yeah,
that, because
I
then
guess
you're
you'd have to
adding,
prove the capacity in Mansfield. Right now, if you stick with the 1E1 pump, you're not increasing flow to Mansfield.
Would a Liberty pump where the E1 is now increase flow?
Well, I wouldn't, well,
You wouldn't do
we
that.
would have to consider whether or not mixing, because this particular force main section assumes E1s, but whatever.
Okay. I was just thinking if you had 2 Liberty pumps, then maybe that
No.
would solve the problem.
No, I don't. I think it's just kind of smaller, larger, its storage capacity. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
that's
Okay,
it.
Right.
so we have to do a force main to the E1, that's the only option. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
You want us to basically get an engineer to design a force main to go to the E1 to go to Mansfield?
I didn't,
Well, because
I don't think we
know.
said that.
we're still going to we have no problem going to the gravity which drains into the existing E1. We just need to know the capacity and the storage of the 2 E1s, because we can't have the new one overwhelm the old one.
Yeah, so it's gotta be an engineered system, basically.
I think we're asking for the spec on each pump system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you want to hire an engineer to do that, great. That'll help. That's your
Okay.
choice.
Alrighty, thank you.
Yeah.
So that's
All
a
right.
table, right?
What's that?
Yes.
Table.
Yeah.
Tabling. 4B. All right. It is not Neil from Hardesty and Hanover. It is Malcolm from Hardesty and Hanover. Item number 5, the Planning and Zoning Commission is going through the process of updating the town's plan of conservation and development. And there is an infrastructure chapter within that plan of conservation and development, typically. And Malcolm, what's your last name, Malcolm?
Simpson.
Malcolm Simpson from Hardesty and Hanover is here to get our thoughts as they may relate to the sanitary sewer system, so that infrastructure chapter can be informed.
Yes.
I say that well enough?
Perfectly.
All right, you're on.
Well, thank you for having me here. I'm very pleased with where I was in the agenda this evening, because we are in the first stage of working on the POCD, Hardesty and Hanover, in conjunction with working for the Planning and Zoning Commission. And phase 1 is all about educating ourselves to the town of Darien, to the various boards and commissions that run it. And so it has been a pleasure to be here and to watch your proceedings, to see what this commission does. So that's the first item in our discussion, just to get a better understanding of who you are as a commission, what you do. I feel that I've seen a very good example of that, but if there's anything beyond what I've seen this evening that you would like to share with me as far as who you are as a commission and what you do in the town of Darien.
Well, I think some of the questions and bullet points you've outlined in the memo provide as helpful a guide as any. We can kind of tick through that.
Sure.
Under AI1, you note that 70% of the town is served by public sewers. I don't think there's been any material change in that ratio over the last 10 years. There is a discussion, I guess, of, there was 10 years ago, of inflow and infiltration as challenges. Do these challenges remain? Absolutely. We have, there's a part in here that talks about, what have we done in the past and what are we doing in the future. We've done a lot in the last 10 years to better understand the scope of the infiltration and inflow problem and take meaningful and proactive steps to address it. I'm going to give you some fancy acronyms, but we prepared a SSES, the Sanitary Sewer Evaluation. What are the acronyms? SS. Study. We had a CMOM prepared, which is a
Capacity maintenance, operations.
management.
Yeah.
policy
No,
document.
CMOM.
CMOM prepared, and we've executed 2 out of 3 contracts identified by the initial SSES for mitigating inflow and infiltration. So we've actually done construction work and maintenance work to try to reduce inflow and infiltration. And we will, so that's kind of the past. As we work kind of in the future in this particular realm, we will continue to investigate the sewer system, different areas of the sewer system, to identify excessive inflow and infiltration, and take proactive steps to mitigate it to the extent technically and financially feasible. We are also promulgating regulation changes to reduce potential sources of inflow. Namely, we're looking at stronger regulations around illicitly connected sump pumps, and trying to identify and eliminate those illicitly connected sump pumps so that we're not accepting clean water into the sewer system. The clean water, of course, you may say, does not need to be treated and reduces the capacity of the system. Mm-hmm. And when the capacity of the system is reduced, there is a higher risk of overflows, which are a public health concern. Mm-hmm. And so we have strong incentive to reduce these things. So I think in terms of trends, this is what we've been doing, and we definitely see a forward role of proactive policing and management of inflow and infiltration. I would also kind of side note, the system continues to age, right? Much of it was built in the 30s and the decades thereafter. So parts of our system are now 90 years old. As time marches on, we'll need to continue to be vigilant stewards of the condition of the system. Mm-hmm. And again, continue to proactively maintain it, which would include the bullet points in this next section: maintain and enhance sewer service, continue to investigate and address inflow and infiltration of non-sewer water, and develop strategies to flood-proof or protect sewage infrastructure from flood damage or water level rise. Those are all good things I think that potentially should be repeated. 4A, again, would say inflow infiltration, eliminating sump pump connections. We've also been adjusting our connection fees to better represent the costs associated with connections borne by the town. And then with that, I've done enough of a diatribe. We'll start with Bob. Any further thoughts for
I
Simpson?
just had one key thing that I don't even know exactly how it fits in here, but if I remember correctly, 2024, we sent 840, I'll have to give you the perfect numbers, but
800 million.
I was gonna say 840 million gallons to Stanford, and 48% of that was what I will qualify as unaccounted for. It wasn't accounted for on aquarium bills. So it's the I&I, it's the inflow and infiltration, whether it's leaking pipes, sump pumps, storm drains storm drains connected to it, roof drains connected to it, ground drains. So
Roughly, in
Half.
2024, roughly half of the water we sent to Stanford to treat was likely inflow and infiltration.
yes,
You said 48%, but roughly half.
I think it was,
Roughly half is
that's the
fine.
number that stuck in my head. I'd have
And it
to,
varies depending on how rainy or not rainy a year is.
And so some of that will be incidental, some of that is potentially.
Yes.
Uh,
I mean, it would be normal to
connected
have
sump pumps.
maybe 25% of the flow, right? So if
yeah,
it
you're
was,
never gonna get zero, but
Yeah.
25% is a good target, at least that's what our consultants tell us.
25% would be 200 million gallons less.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little less than that, but yeah. This percentage changes, the denominator changes, but anyway.
I was just giving a nice round number.
Peter, any other thoughts you want to share?
Yeah,
Mr. Simpson?
when they're doing planning and zoning over there, if you remember, or if they remember, when they're planning a new project, they need to send it over here so we can tell them whether there's enough sewer capacity or not. If more is required, I'm not just quite sure how that's done, but
Yeah, I think we've started to do this, but I think, I agree, there should be maybe a mention in the POCD about improved or improved and continued, or continued and improved communication with planning and zoning around proposed projects and applications.
right, exactly.
Susan?
Along that line, we have started to, the planning and zoning allowed ADUs, accessory dwelling units. So we're starting to get a lot of applications for people wanting to have their sewer line added. It would be interesting when we're collecting data to find out how many ADUs are approved and how many of them needed to come in here to have sewer lines upgraded or approved. That would be an interesting
That's good.
piece of data.
And
Account
that
of how
would
many.
be, I mean, you all know more about how this connection works, but an accessory or an attached ADU potentially doesn't need
Correct.
this kind of connection, but if it is detached, it would, like the last application,
Correct.
right?
Right.
Would need to pump in or connect separately, which
Yeah, if
is
it all
discouraged.
happens within the building, they don't need a sewer connection permit. Technically, we should still be able to collect the additional bedroom charge.
And we do.
Okay, but we wouldn't necessarily need to make any decisions about how it is connected. And over time, I'm gonna hope, we're gonna maybe develop a standard that maybe we can offload to administrative, like when it's this condition, you do that, when it's this condition, you do that. That would be nice, so we don't have to hear all these, but,
Well, and we use Bob's, because you use those same things.
oh yeah, we can
last
have those
month.
standard
You know,
conditions.
standard
That could turn into a
conditions.
policy almost. yeah.
Exactly. I like that.
So maybe the other way, and we'll hopefully get this done before you publish the POCD, which is, we should probably work as a sewer commission to develop kind of clear administrative policies around ADUs. That would be a near-term goal for us.
And then we could also count how many sump pumps are removed when we start getting sump pumps offline. That would be another piece of data that we could provide. And I don't know if we need improved mapping. I've heard various people say that we could use improved mapping.
Yeah.
So that would be a super good goal. Being as someone who wrote this 10 years ago, it would be a super good goal to
Yeah,
have our mapping be improved.
that's a fantastic point. I think we've made great strides in the portions of the system that we have investigated. And I think we could continue on that success until we've got the whole town in an easy-to-use system.
Great.
So, yeah, improvement. Gentlemen, do you have anything that you think?
I have one thing that kind of caught my eye because you jumped over it. That's the only reason it caught my eye. Number 3, the back page. I'd like to hear from the commission what they think the big ones have been, or what kind of comes to mind right away about accomplishments over the last 5 to 10 years.
I love the way that you're presenting the budget. That
Wait,
you continue to improve to present the budget. That's one thing I love, because I'm a numbers person.
Oh, what are the
You
mo-
like a good spreadsheet?
How about,
I like a good spreadsheet.
how about the connection fee?
Yeah.
There was not a connection fee.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
there wasn't at all.
Adjusting fees, well, I mean, and I think I talked about the inflow and infiltration efforts.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And our sump pump, I don't know, I haven't found it anywhere else, so it's at least, I won't say groundbreaking, but I'll say forefront policy to, to try and limit the impact of sump pumps on our sanitary sewer system.
We can't call it an accomplishment yet.
We're very close.
We're very close.
You are
Did I-
addressing it. That
did I-
is a total
Yes.
compliment.
Did I say the word accomplishment?
We're actively addressing. We're taking steps to,
But
being
just,
correct, yeah.
I don't know.
We are-
I think
are-
just writing
Yes.
writing it, I think is.
We are on the cutting edge.
It's
I agree.
item 6 on our agenda.
I
We're
was-
actively addressing it.
Curious, jumping back to the I&I,
Yes, sir.
that had emerged as, or I guess, talking about it in this context, that it emerged as a challenge over the last 10 years. Has it gotten worse? Are you seeing that those numbers are increasing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have graphs that showed the proportion of I&I, trending up over time. We expect that we've peaked and we're on the down slope now because of some of the work we've done over the last 12 to 18 months. But we don't get a real good sense of that until kind of after July each year when we look at
So you see the
year.
annual cycle,
Yeah,
I suppose,
yeah,
right? Because
exactly.
so much
And
of it is
then,
dependent on weather.
roll the dice on what the weather was and
Yeah.
whether or not you're getting meaningful results based on the weather.
Yeah.
But yes, it was slowly trending up, and we believe we have stopped the upward trend, and we're waiting to see the data on that.
See, yeah.
But I think even with, or independent of what the weather is, the actual versus the
The ratio.
the ratio there is telling.
Yeah.
Even if it's a wet year,
Yeah.
the ratio is still telling to know that we've hopefully lowered the ratio there and got rid of more, water that we don't know the source of.
Well, I can follow up with staff, but I'd be very curious to see those numbers, see that graph.
Yeah, that'd be
And
late
to
summer, middle of
put
summer.
on a timeline as well when these infrastructure initiatives that you have gone after in the last 12 to 16 months are on that graph.
Okay.
I think that would be very
We
contribute
have the
nicely
year,
to
we'll
the
update it
story.
one more time. Sounds good.
Yeah, I can only find 20.
Well, that's the other thing. We
21
can
and
also
20 and 21.
The plan we'll be working on the plan for the next 12 months or so. So if it's going to make that story better, we can wait 6 months, update it, and then
Yeah, I think we would want to capture through July or through June in that graph in that story.
well, absolutely. No, that's great, and we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll update it accordingly. Great.
Darren, do you have anything to add? Anything else to add?
No.
Good.
Similarly, as things progress, and as you continue to develop your strategies for addressing the sub pump issue, I'd be curious to see what form that takes, what those regulations look like.
Potentially implement that.
Yeah,
before-
right, because right now it is, being workshopped, but certainly it will be in a more finalized form by the time we're ready to draft the infrastructure chapter.
Yes.
And so we can talk about that more specifically.
Yes.
Great.
If you go back to the role of the sewer commission,
Yes, sir.
I had some thoughts that
Oh,
were more than
I jumped over that section too.
yours.
1L or 2?
I'll just run through them quickly. You guys set user fees, you approve that budget, you extend sewers, you entertain sewer user fee appeals, of course, you hold meetings and public hearings, maintain the infrastructure funding, you approve of the interlocal agreement with Stanford for the treatment of our wastewater. You've entered into agreements with the state for clean water funds. You meet with activist groups. You protect the environment and you protect the ratepayer.
And protect public health.
Public health.
Thank you, Darren. I think that's a very important little ad at the end there. Very well
great.
summarized.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I always say, we are the, the citizen oversight of one of the town's most valuable assets.
I'll leave it at that.
See, the positive influence you found in me, Bob.
Okay. I think it might be more the other way, but okay.
I had one follow-up question, because you mentioned specifically one of the roles of the commission is extending sewer. But we also talked about at the beginning of this that roughly 70% of the town is served by sewer as it was 10 years ago. Now, I absolutely understand, right? It is a significant enough challenge maintaining and keeping the existing system in good working order. Are there plans? Have there been talks about extension of sewer?
So we don't have a open policy to sewer unsewered areas. We have what I would call a policy that's responsive to public desire. So if a neighborhood, and usually we ask that it's the majority of the neighborhood, wants to be sewered, we will use our authority to help them along in that effort. That's what we have typically done.
It would be in response to public petition to
Yeah.
extend that sewer district.
Correct.
And the number 70%, is that by population? Is that by land area?
I have
Is
no
that-
idea where it came from, just sounds right.
I would say land area.
I don't know.
No?
Well, we know how many properties there
I was
are,
gonna go
we
by
know how many bills we
properties.
send out.
I thought it was properties.
Really?
Oh, like the number of
Yeah, I
tax
agree.
parcels?
Yeah.
How many?
Interesting.
How many
That
properties?
would make more sense to me.
Well, how many ratepayers do we have?
Oh, I just figured that.
52, 26.
Okay, so we have somewhere between 5,200 and 5,300 ratepayers, and you would probably say somewhere in
Let me see
the
your columns.
POCD how many properties there are in
Yeah.
Darien. So you can
I mean,
get
these are questions that I can, with working
Yeah.
with the town GIS, get a clearer answer
Yeah.
to, right? We'll definitely be
Let us
looking at
know.
population.
I was just thinking because the
all right,
the properties
AI
that have
says
septic
there
are
are-
usually bigger. That was mine.
are 7,278 housing units.
Oh,
Ah,
that gives
Doesn't
you
help.
condos.
Yeah. I don't like housing units. I searched for properties and it gave me housing units. Oh, well.
I thought that's the right, for parcels.
Anyway,
Number of
you
parcels.
can get our ratepayer number from Ed, and you can get a number of properties from,
Yes, and I'm sure that I have the sewer system
Yeah.
in the GIS files
Yeah.
that we got from the town.
and let's just do it that way.
Crunch those numbers,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever makes the most sense.
Darren, do you have something else to add?
I used Ed's joining the town of Darien as a good demarcation point, right? Because he's been here 10 years, right? So,
Going on 11.
going on 11, so he came right after the last,
Last one.
Ed has been an
conservation
exceptional steward
Yeah.
as the superintendent.
he's been the sewer superintendent through that whole period.
And as long as we're setting policy goals for the next 10 years, it would be that Ed will be an exceptional steward
yeah.
of the sanitary sewer system.
I knew that's where that
I
was
was looking
going.
at that job for the mapping for this, maybe, as something to do.
Yeah.
And Darren would be taking this over.
So, thank you. So.
I don't look forward to the day that I sit here and look at two different faces, I'll tell you that.
I know, that's gonna be hard.
Thanks. So
We're
what I
gonna
was
have to
thinking
have cardboard
was,
cutouts of you.
I'm thinking a policy where you guys don't change commissioners for a while, thinking maybe 4 years would be good.
Oh, okay, that's your time horizon, okay.
Sorry, Darren, go ahead.
so 2AI1 specifically asks if the service level has changed. And it was easy for me to think of, what sewers have we extended since Ed has been here? And the only one I come up with is Clocks
Clocks
Lane.
Lane.
Yeah.
So is Trail, right? That's
Clocks.
1,000 feet.
Clocks Landing.
Clocks Lane and Settlers Trail, which is 1,000 feet. And serves roughly a dozen houses, a dozen additional houses. In addition to that, there was a number of intensification,
Yeah,
right?
and some development.
So the commission presides over those too.
Would
So-
you consider Glassmar to be an extension?
Yes, but I thought that was before Ed got here. No, it wasn't?
Locust Lane?
Locust Hill, yeah.
No, I was here.
You were here for that? Okay. Then throw on another 1,000.
That was before me, but it just
Yeah.
came to mind.
No, we came up from almost Old Farm Road all the way up. So that was more than 1,000. Say 2,000?
Yeah.
Call it 3,000 in the last 10 years.
3,000 linear feet.
Yeah, of sewer.
To add to the 80
Extensions.
miles of existing.
81 miles?
81 miles, sorry. I didn't mean to shortchange.
That's all.
Oh, those were excellent. Thank you very much for taking the time to write that stuff down there.
Great stats.
I'll just leave one more open. Any other comments, any questions for you before we wrap up?
Well, we talked about the, approximately 3,000 additional linear feet in the sewer system. And obviously, there's the relatively recent
ADU, right?
ADUs. There's also been a certain amount of development, I would imagine, within the existing
Yep.
sewer system.
Yep.
And so this can also be something that I can follow up with staff, but be curious to look at the number of additional ratepayers or additional units connecting to the existing system.
It's hard because a lot of the stuff has been kind of rental and single property commercial, so a number of ratepayers isn't necessarily. I think your best information probably comes from P&Z on that, where they can give you a handle on, just the kind of increase in development over the last 10 years.
Yeah, or we can look at it just in gallons of flow, or the amount of flow and how that has changed, right?
You don't have to rain for that, though.
That's
Yeah,
rain.
Actually, our water use, so in the same graphs where we're seeing
go down.
I going up, our actual water use, because we get all the Aquarian bills for all the ratepayers we can, the actual water use is going down.
Is going down.
It's going down.
So I is going up, but the water use on an individual basis.
Yeah, just the aggregate water use of all of our ratepayers is, level to trending down. And our I is increasing, so our overall send to Stanford is increasing.
Interesting.
And we'll have updated numbers.
But despite the
in
additional
July then.
dwelling units, the development within the town,
Yeah,
water
you
usage
you
is
couple
going
that
down.
with, there's probably, EPA water sense fixtures, there's more efficient
sure.
everything now. I don't know what population trends there have been, whether that's where that's going with birth rates and everything like that.
Yeah.
There might be higher sensitivity to bills and, not looking at irrigation or things like that, but people kind of correcting problems like you heard tonight.
Yeah.
But anyway, water use is going down. Has been. We'll
Water
see.
use is going down. I was going
Again,
up.
that
Has
was
been addressed.
the data we have is a year stale.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what it says this year. Certainly there's been more commercial tenants at federal over the last year, but, you know, the Palmer side hasn't been developed yet. We have, you know, maybe a quarter of downtown developed, you know, so I think there's been stuff approved that's just not built yet too,
Sure.
not discharging yet.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I saw in our new stormwater manual, which really doesn't affect us directly, is that they're advising people not put in deep basements into the groundwater, which then has to be pumped somewhere, which could eliminate some of the sump pump connections. I think that's a good add.
I would hope that we wouldn't have some pump connections on new construction, but, you know.
If they have to do
Seen
something
worse.
with their water and they're desperate for a 9-foot basement. And the water's gonna be pumping out on Holly Lane every day. And we all know the house I'm talking about. So I thought that was an improvement in the stormwater manual.
Anything else?
Not that I can think of. I'll certainly follow up with you or with your staff with any follow-up questions regarding data sources and things like that, any other questions that come up. And I'll be sure to keep in touch with the sub pump regulations that you're discussing and the I-9 numbers over the course of the next 6-8 months. And I'd like to thank you all for your time.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, constructive discussion. Always, you know, the POCD process is good because it gives you a moment in time to look backwards and look forwards.
Yeah, it also really makes us look at all the things we do. I mean, I forgot some of the things
We
that
get myopic, don't we?
Darren talked about. You start thinking, you know, all we do are the sewer usage fees appeals,
Yeah.
and
Seems like that sometimes. All right, we're gonna move on to item number 6 on the agenda, the sump pump removal policy. We've got yet another revision to our form. I think, as I understand staff's request at this point, is to deem that this is good enough to send to town council for review, comment, and edit.
That would be the form and the ordinance.
I had one teeny tiny period missing.
Oh, good. That's a great place to start. I love that.
But other than that, I thought it looked fabulous.
Which page of this,
So page 4,
page 4?
right where it says in section 1013-9, that standalone sentence compliance
Oh,
statement
yeah,
shall
the
be
middle one,
issued
yeah.
every year,
Period.
non-compliant properties, period. Other than that, I thought it looked
I
great.
almost had an A. That's an A minus.
Oh, God, that's an A. That is still an A. I don't think it would make that much difference in this day and age if you left off periods.
So just to walk you through what I did, the yellow in the first 2 pages for the compliance statement, you folks had mentioned that. I got that off of the video, I got it off of Darren's notes and Joanne, so just making sure that's what you wanted to see. What is it? Form must
yeah.
be completed, signed, and returned.
Great.
on
I
the
was-
second one, where it says some plump compliance statement may be reissued every 6 months due to non-compliant properties.
Yep, yes. I
Um,
think you put the word may in there.
Yep.
yeah, I don't. I have no problem with the may. I have more of a problem with the 6.
Oh,
Let me, I think,
I just would rather not have the every 6 months in there right now. I think that's a discussion we need to have later, because my opinion is every 90 days. Because that kind of, the whole idea that it can only be a $250 fine just rubs me the wrong way.
I don't
When
have-
you can have a
Bob,
$100
I don't have staff to do that.
Okay.
I think.
I'm not talking now, I'm just saying,
That's why
But I'm
think
saying-
a different verbiage than going to 90 days. I don't see that happening in the first 2 years. As a matter of fact, I think the first year is, you gotta give me 365 days to see
get
how
through the
this
first draft,
works.
yeah.
and I'm good
vet
with that.
as
I
many
just
of
don't
these out.
want to have something that we have to override. So I'd rather not have, just that it may be reissued and not have any time period
Okay.
at the present. That's just my opinion.
And I'm in favor of that. If you want to say this may be reissued, but I think
That's where I was going, I
we
wasn't,
need to give them a little bit
It
of.
begs the timeframe, though. It really
yeah.
does. Maybe reissued. Why bother putting it in?
And if I send the next one out and we want to change it to say every 90 days, I'll cross that right out and I'll change it.
Yeah.
The next one that goes out says, every 90 days you're going to get this
Because
notification.
this compliance statement isn't in the reg, the reg will just point to the compliance statement. So we
Right.
have a little more authority to be able to change the compliance statement from time to time, because the reg will just be pointing to it.
And I can't answer that, but I want to answer that
Yeah.
by looking, but
all right, can we kind of strike a middle point on a regular basis or something along those lines where there isn't a,
Well, look, I want to get the attorney's eyes on this. This is not the last time we're gonna see this. I will say my thinking has always, as I've been harping on, like, I just wanna get this thing up and running. And after a year or two, we can go back and tinker to make it better. That's my goal.
yeah, no, that's why I played with Post-it notes, so. I wanna get it out too.
On the first page, 6A, 1 of 2, first page of the compliance statement. Return to, it says sewer commission, should we just say sewer department?
I thought I fixed that.
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah, as it shouldn't be
Oh.
like, it shouldn't be on our agenda kind of thing, it should just be to your department.
Where? Oh,
Yeah, highlighted on the first page.
Anything else you want to point out to us, Ed?
just the statement that Bob had discussed, I mean, we can put it maybe reissued more frequently than once a year. I mean, at least
No,
you're
I mean,
wide open.
if they're okay with it, I have no problem being overruled, I just was voicing my opinion.
And you understand it can easily be
Let's
changed.
give ourselves some time to think about it, we'll see the draft again.
I mean, of course, we wouldn't overwhelm, it wasn't meant that, it
No,
was
no.
just meant that I don't want
More
it
teeth,
to.
you're trying to find more teeth for us.
Yes,
Yes, which I appreciate.
And I want to deliver on the collection part of it. And
Yeah.
part of that is organizing the ones we get back and making sure we send out the ones to the proper people that actually deserve to be notified again.
Yeah.
So the question is, other than the period at the end of that line.
And the department instead of commission.
Yeah, the page 1 of 6B where I had the question marks, that was, for you folks to understand, that was just me asking out loud, am I missing anything?
Is there anything else we should refer
Yeah,
to?
did anything pop up? You read this and go, hey, what about this code, or what about this ordinance, or what about, in case you had something.
There's
or-
TR 16 is the only other pretty standard guidance
I thought you were
document, but
crossing
it's
out
not really a
question
regular.
marks with the dark blue, or hiding them.
If you,
I'd have to look at TR 16 to see if it's appropriate to reference. We reference it in some of our design guidelines. In our CMOM. So I don't know if that's,
Well,
it's not really a compliance document. It's not really it's like a guideline.
well, and the other one is 1013-10, I changed that to 30 days. The stuff in blue.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, my next step is,
Get this vetted by the
Town.
town council.
okay,
And then whatever comment or changes they have, we'll discuss at a subsequent meeting. And I think our deadline goal is,
and I hate to sound the other way on anything, but 30 days, when just meetings are every 30 days, do we want to say 45?
that's
think
so
I
they
had
can say,
15
hey, I
before that.
appeal, right?
I'm just, and I'm not,
that's a good point.
I'm just,
Oh. Yes,
just because of the way it
Yeah, if they
could
miss the
fall
first
on the
meeting.
calendar.
Okay, so that's an easy change.
yeah.
Yeah,
Again, I appreciate that too. We're going for compliance, not punitive control.
I'm not always a bad guy.
But with those changes, that can just send us off to the lawyer.
Yes.
I would wholeheartedly
Still
agree, yeah. I mean, I think that we talked about minutia. I don't think any,
Are you ready to move on to number 7, gentlemen?
Yes, I am. All
Okay.
set, ready to go. I'm going to skip right back to phase 1 because it's not on there.
Okay.
So we'll go in order. Just to update you, the warranty work has been completed and approved,
Okay.
and we're just waiting to pay the pay request. That has also been approved, so I'm just waiting for Arcadis to send it over.
Do
for
they
my
like
signature.
video that a year later or something? How does the warranty work?
They're looking at mostly the manhole stuff with the
Yeah.
epoxy lining,
Got it.
cementation liner in the base.
Not necessarily the.
Yeah, I think there was one in there, and then they run the camera through the liners to check the pipe.
Oh, they do? Yeah.
From what she had told me today, that's the understanding I had.
Oh, wow, that's great. Love that.
Was that one, and then phase 2, we're finished with the work itself, and waiting for approval on the final pay request for that also. It appears that we're gonna, from my last calculation, we're gonna come in under budget on this one a little bit, because we did add some work, but we took some work out also, so there's a little bit of a balance in there too. In phase 3, we had a meeting today to go over the final details of the plans, specs. We made some decisions on watertight manholes and such. So we're looking to bid that at the end of May.
Yay.
Probably gonna put it out for 4 weeks. I think that's what we did last time. So maybe looking for a bid opening first week of June.
It's out in May, bid opening in June, negotiations to July, mobilization August.
I'm thinking mobilization July,
Yeah, that'd be great.
especially if we get one of the 2 companies you already used. I think that they kind of know
So
the,
we can get again, we'll be able to get most of the lining done before next spring.
yeah,
Yeah.
and probably hop right into CCTV work that at the same time.
Yep, for 8 miles.
Okay, if you're good
Should
with
we
A,
be, I would be interested in hearing, okay, assuming that this phase 3 work is gonna be mostly complete before, I don't know, say February or March of next year, does it make sense to start thinking about, well, what would we do in terms of a post-effort flow monitoring program to see, what we got out of the money we spent?
we've had that discussion, I kind of pushed it off for now so that we can get the bid out, but
Sure.
then we're gonna start looking at, whether, if putting meters to monitor the flow, not in all 9 of the locations,
Yeah.
but strategically
Maybe it's
placed,
3,
now that we know the
maybe
system a
it's-
little better.
Yeah, whatever, it's like
Yeah.
half or a third. Yeah.
And then maybe at the same time, we're installing.
Target a few new areas.
New
or
areas.
More granular areas, yeah.
So, that may be part of the second phase of I&I.
Yeah, starting the flow monitoring
Yeah.
for next spring.
But right now, looking at the engineer's estimate, we're on the cusp of where my money is. So I want to make sure I have enough money to do the construction first before I start the next phase
Okay.
of I&I. The SSA, second
But
SES report.
springtime provides a good goal, we don't want to miss.
No, that's when you want to do
Spring
it.
that we don't want to miss to do another flow assessment.
No, I think that'd be a perfect time.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, I'm gonna ask if you would, before we hit C. Going back to the sump pump, I know you folks had mentioned presenting it to certain people here in town. I'm assuming
Yes.
First Selectman, Board of Selectmen would be one of the groups. Is there any other ones that you thought of? Public Works Committee, anything like that on the RTM? I mean, and we invite
Well-
them maybe to the Board of Selectmen one, we do it as a
Yeah,
group?
maybe we see how it goes. Obviously, we want to
Yeah.
talk to the first selectman, walk him through it, And when he's ready to have it on the agenda for the BOS, we could do that. And then we can go from there. It is probably, thinking as a citizen, the more people that understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, the better, which goes to the RTM. Thank you for the initials.
I just happened to watch their last meeting for the budget part of it, and this item came up, and then it gets kind of triggered.
Yeah, who's on the Public Works Committee, the Infrastructure Committee?
Well,
Mark got a letter.
Mark is on there now, but I think Rolf
Oben?
is
Remember-
the chairman now. They switched. So.
Okay.
He was here a couple times
Yeah.
and
So maybe-
referenced meetings, so I think he
Yes,
watches.
Yeah, okay, so we hit John, the BOS, and then we can go to the committee first, and then to the RTM if it's appropriate.
That would be, okay, I just want to kind of get a list in my head.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. And then C, the last page of your packet. So I gave you the dimensions of the pool. And the reason this came up was they were looking for a place to discharge or tie a pool, inside pool, surface drain, like an overflow. Let's say you walk out of the pool, there's a little drain in case it's
Deck
wet.
drain.
And where they would tie it in. And we got some guidance from Joe Canis where it's supposed to be tied into and supposed to go to the sanitary sewer. Then my thought was, okay, this house is gonna have an indoor pool. And let's say they wanna drain it. And where's that gonna go? And how do we measure that? Throw on top of it that this house has a well. And I have no way of checking the flow. That's kind of the reaction I got for myself was, okay, now what do I?
Straws.
I don't, and I wanted to put that on maybe just for even a quick discussion this month and give you a chance to think about it a little bit, but this is unique because I haven't come across this.
There's, so you've got, interior drains are supposed to go to sewer, period. That's plumbing code. But you also have backwash for the pool.
I have an indoor pool, right? I mean, now it's all.
Now, it's an indoor pool, not an outdoor pool. Do we?
But you still have to backwash.
Yeah, no, of course.
But so there's do we require an exterior backwash system for pools so that they don't go to the sewer? It's interesting, and then the pool is allowed to drain to storm, but it's an indoor pool. And if you're the pool guy showing up 3 years from now to drain the pool, like, are you gonna figure that out, or are you gonna use the drain that's like 3 feet away from the pool?
I mean, unscrew the grate off of it, and stick my hose right in there. Yeah, that's exactly what the expectation could be.
Small submersible pump in
Oh,
here.
God, I don't wanna regulate pools. Okay, thank you for that.
But giving you the dimensions of the pool, there's the magnitude of the water that's in it.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I put that in there, so you could see. I'm struggling on how to, I mean, this is unique for me because I haven't dealt with an indoor pool. Most of the time it comes up, it's outdoor pool, you ask them, hey, the water's ordered, where's it gonna water? I can ask them that.
My son has an indoor pool, but I don't know if they have a well.
Oh, well.
I'll have to ask him.
Is it code that pools need to be backwashed, or I know the term is wasted. It's different kind of waste, but I mean, to a dry well?
I know that the DEP has a general permit for backwash discharge. The systems that I have designed for that were for water softening backwash for potable water systems, so I haven't done one for pool backwash.
Okay.
It's a pretty simple system. It's like a septic system, 150% of the volume of what might be anticipated in one backwash cycle. Yeah.
Well, I mean, for outdoor pools, it's more the wasting, like on weather today, it'll get so high that you need to lower it 3 inches so that the skimmers work.
Yeah.
That's far more water than you take out when you backwash.
Yeah,
But
we
that's
wouldn't-
not
And we wouldn't.
involved
want-
in this one because this one's indoor. But I'm
Yeah,
just
that would-
asking if it's code that a pool has to backwash to a dry well. And I don't know the answer to that.
Well, it can't backwash to grade. I know that. It's the question of whether or not it has to backwash to a dry wall or to a sewer system. I think it could do either by code.
Oh, good, okay.
I think it could do either.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to ask that question, we'll have to wing it. No, I mean, reasonably, you're gonna have to, make an accommodation. It's gonna be a best guess scenario.
I mean, yeah, well, the empty pools.
I was more just thinking the backwash, the emptying the pools.
Yeah.
What do you,
It
I don't
doesn't- It
know.
doesn't necessarily happen every year, right?
Yeah,
Typically,
and indoor
pool-
less because it's running. It's not, it's usually when you open them that there's an issue. And the other thing is surfaces have got more,
It's a-
harder and more impervious to stain so that they have to be emptied less.
We do work with the YMCA on theirs indoors. And I
Yeah.
think we have a meter on one of their outlets
Yeah.
where they discharge. This residential one seemed to be a little bit different than what I've dealt with.
Yeah.
Hundred and thirty cubic feet.
Is the pool volume?
What's the outcome?
Nine-
I don't.
No,
900
it's less than
900
that.
cubic feet.
It's 748 cubic, gallons in a cubic foot. I mean, in a 100 cubic feet.
I mean, whatever is.
So it's-
I'm just trying to get
whatever
an
less
is
than
allowed by
100.
code is effectively permitted. I mean, we just have to decide if we want to do something different.
I'll let you think about that for 30 days.
Right, because there are other indoor pools in Darien.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah,
it's only like
there's one I know of along that pool.
9 CCFs.
That's gonna be on a.
That's on our agenda next
900
week.
cubic feet.
No, but it's also, we
Yeah,
have a
so, I
water
mean, that's
meter on that, because it's on. public
$70.
water.
Oh, you're working on that?
You could.
No,
I would think
like,
if we
Long
charge them
Point's on public
$100 a
water,
year,
so we would have
it would
Aquarian.
work for both sides.
Meter records, I have no idea what
Ah.
you're talking about.
Huh?
That's
This is a well.
That's
This is
an
a-
appropriate response in my
water
opinion.
Records.
If that,
I see.
if that's the
So
way we're gonna do it, if you
when they
have
do,
one of
we would
these,
know how much water they use. I got it.
based on size even, if we have to.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
this,
if they discharged it and they filled it up, we would know.
if they discharged it, it would be 9 CCFs. So it would be like less than $70.
Yeah, so it's not a huge amount.
So that plus being able to backwash every year, if we just gave them a flat added fee of $100 a year, I think it's reasonable. No?
There's a lot of.
Because of the size of because it's,
Well, no, I'm just, I don't.
I know you don't want it, but I'm just saying you can't just let it go. All right, I can't just let it go.
How many pools are there in Darien?
Indoor?
Indoor pools.
YMCA?
Not so
That's a
many.
big one. That's why we have, that's big.
That's a whole
That's why we
different,
have
that's a different
meter on that
realm.
one.
And it's not residential.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
we can-
This might be.
I'm not asking you to overregulate, I just gave you a problem that I had 3 weeks
Yeah,
ago,
no,
and
that's-
I
Well,
thought
and
maybe you-
because the biggest
folks
problem
would
is
see
the
it.
well. So that's why I'm just saying add $100 to the
And
well
I don't
rate.
want perfect to be the enemy of good enough.
Okay, I thought good enough was just saying $100 fee for on top of the well fee.
I would need more information, I think.
All right.
I mean, I look at 9 CCF on a, annual charge of 200 CCF and like, is it worth sending out another,
But it's not 9, it's but also the backwashing
Yes,
is gonna
so-
add up. So that's why I'm saying $100 per annum, just, solves the equation.
Is this the same house we saw with 9 bedrooms?
I have no idea what we're talking about.
10 Hoyt Court?
Yes.
Yeah, or 7 bedrooms or whatever. The guy came in and wanted to,
Oh, this is Stanley Court.
yeah.
Yeah, I should
Right
use
behind
myself
you.
in the discussion.
And,
Well, it's good you didn't know then.
so where are they putting the pool? Are they not having those bedrooms?
I'm like, where's
Honestly,
the
this
pool
is news to
going?
me, but I'll shut my mouth now. Should we get on to adjournment?
I see this house from my patio.
I just had
It's
a, I
huge.
just had a
Was it that
question.
one, or is it the one?
10. I don't know.
Okay.
I know it would kind of be new business, but I could just kind of leave it in the superintendent's report here. When I made my motion there, should I have, I just want you guys' opinion real quick. Should I have also added that the video should be submitted to the town?
You should make up a list of the things that you think we should always ask.
I did.
He's asking that question
Yeah.
on my behalf, and I appreciate it.
No.
Okay.
I thought it myself.
Okay, whatever you say. What is the one in my backyard? So I can't talk about that one. Well, maybe I shouldn't, but
Hey, Bob, we'll ask them for copies of videos. It's our standard.
It's not a problem?
Yes.
Okay, all right, I just.
Don't worry.
thought
Give us a
maybe
flash
you-
drive and we're,
I just,
they can make an opinion, but I wouldn't mind just checking.
yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Usually
Nice,
Anthony's
cross
there
the
when they
Ts.
do the video.
okay, no, I'm
And then he
gonna,
gets a copy.
I'm gonna print out that so that I have it each time and
Great.
just because I think the motion with conditions is the way to say it. I was saying with caveats and I read it and it just didn't look appropriate.
All right, agenda item number 8, any new business? Agenda item number 9, Peter.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
All those in favor? We adjourn. Channel 79, our meeting is over. Thank you for your service.